have the pleasure of introducing A.M. Juster, which is a pen name, but I'll let Mike explain that if he cares to. That's not up to me. Well, they did just out his first name. He's published 11 books of poetry and translations, including the Billy Collins Experience, which is really like the best title ever for a book of poems. From Kelsay Books, The Secret Language of Women from the University of Evansville. Another I'll mention because it's available for sale over here today is Wonder and Wrath, and please pick up a copy of that. I'm sure Mike would be happy to sign it for you. He also has a couple of forthcoming books, a book of translations by Petrarch from W.W. Norton, which has been in the works for some time and coming out any day now. Any day in the next year or two, right? And another forthcoming book of original work. His poetry has appeared in my magazine, Smartish Pace, a couple years ago. It was really the first I really got to know Mike's work, is I selected a poem of his for the Erskine J. Poetry Prize and then met him after that. And really thank you for sending good work to the magazine. I really appreciate it. Mike is a graduate of Yale University and the Harvard University Law School, and he has worked in senior positions for 4 U.S. presidents. He is traveling generously to us today from Virginia. Please welcome A.M. Juster.
Thank you, Stefan, for that kind introduction, and for your support, and for all of you for being here, and for your support to the bookshop, a wonderful venue. I also, before I start, I also want to thank the editor I hired, not W.W. Norton, which did nothing, but where Egan, a local superstar, did the editing of my Petrarch book, and she did an amazing job. And I even picked up some help from her amazing husband on a couple of arcane points of Italian. So that was just a wonderful deal for me. Vigil. Set all routines aside. Let hours lead to weeks. Decide not to decide. Ease anguish with your voice. Speak though you are unheard. When sleep is deep, rejoice. Let go of hell and heaven. Pray, play a cherished song. Forgive and be forgiven. So, 51 years ago tonight, my life changed. I was a teenager and I got dragged into a dance by 2 friends and I didn't want to go. And they promptly abandoned me. And I just was not very happy at all. And then all of a sudden there's this beautiful young woman in front of me with this wonderful smile. And there she is in the back now with our dog. And so I thought I'd read this one, which is for her, and then one for our daughter as well. Japanese maple in January. All spring she brushed aside my arguments. It would be cheaper and would make more sense to fill the yard with hardy native stock. She bought her maple, jumped the chain link fence, and tried to start a lawn. Our crabby flock of grackles grew too fat on seed to quarrel. While masons tamed the mud with slate and rock, she planted birches, hollies, and a laurel. New pickets kept our neighbors in their place. October stripped her birches down to bone, as if to warn the weak. Beside new stone, the pygmy flares with plum and amber lace. As ice storms make old oaks bow, crack, and groan, her gift keeps shimmering with fragile grace. tended not to advertise the poetry thing around the family, and particularly when you write a poem about your preteen daughter, or not, well, just past preteen, it's probably a good idea to kind of keep it quiet. And there would have been hell to pay if she had heard about this one contemporaneously, but she actually did grow up to become a teacher like her mom. And she loves this poem now, but fortunately it took her 6 years to find it. So it's called Untamed Daughter, and the epigraph is from Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. Come, Kate, come, you must not look so sour. At 14, she loves being critical, and tells me, Shakespeare uses language well, but could have been, like, more original. I sputter, but rebuttals fail to gel. All those recycled plots make it appear to her he was a sneaky plagiarist, no better than that girl expelled last year. So they should take him off her reading list. Please, Caitlin, let it go. Great writers borrow like gamblers. Don't begrudge the bard a source that he reshaped into Verona's sorrow, Miranda's tenderness, or Lear's remorse. But mark him down perhaps a point or two, because he tamed a Kate as fierce as you. I write generally in traditional meters, but in recent years I've been working more in Old English meters, and I really like it. There's a thump to it, and it makes you use words with a lot of pulp and that kind of thing. So I love. So this is one of the first ones that I did in that vein. 3 visitors. Mist on moonspill as midnight nears. Adrift but not dreaming, our drowsy sun is covered and kissed. At the kitchen door, our old basset is barking. Coyotes out back are standing like statues down by the dogwoods. Across the crystal of crusted snow, they search for stragglers to startle and chase. Their vigil reveals no victims this night. Trash would be trouble. They trot away unbothered by blood-throated growling and bang. No star distracts their stealthy march. As the highway hums, they howl through the calm, then savor new scents that spice their path in this world awash in wonder and wrath. So I started doing something a little different and weird for the next book, which has helped me. I've written a lot of poems that are at least purportedly addressed to a particular person, and then you're all just sort of eavesdropping, as opposed to writing a poem with for a more general audience. So here are a couple of them that will be in the next book, which is called Epistles in a Time of Texting. Epistle to a former friend. When I say a prayer for the wicked, I despair and think, of course, of you, and how your late-night rants make reservoirs of jaundice rise as veins keep tightening and helplessness intensifies. Forgiveness that I profess just marks me as a liar, while dread and darkness, too, make their cruel advance without the clarity of lightning, without the cleansing of the fire. And this is a poem that got me into Smartish Pace. So, Epistle to an Imaginary Friend. I have crossed the meridian where the past provides more joy than the future, where urgency searches randomly and trickles and pools as I long for unrushed days in the lushness of Sorrento, so that after grilled octopus, linguine drenched in olive oil and garlic, and chilled white wine, I could watch the descending sun ignite the Bay of Naples. Even though I no longer eat octopus out of guilt, and my body's civil wars uncivilly deny me alcohol and pasta, and yet I cannot deny Vesuvius will someday erupt, with millions trapped in traffic jams, restaurants, and lemon groves. And yes, I know the seductive light extending to the horizon is about to meet its meridian. So back in the Old English verse frame, this is a riff on an actual Old English fragment. And it's a powerful and wonderful and strangely modern poem, and it's a shame that we don't have the rest of this. And I started thinking about it a lot during the pandemic, and so here's sort of my rework of it. The Ruin. Remorseless sun martyrs new grass. Glistening towers of tainted glass ignite and blister in blood-yellow light, recalling the tallest of crumbling tombs as humbler graves harbor their dead in the clutches of earth and callous night. The past is draining through inhuman dreams. No people are packing backrooms and bars. No pride or empire rises on ruins. No glance at a face gleans what is fair. Everyone senses evil has come. Gods of technology are graceless and numb. The world you knew will not be renewed. We call for a hero, but just hear recordings. Strip mall parking lot. Hawks gather under broken sky as sunlight warms each patch of tar unshielded by a truck or car. They search for thermals as they fly until one bird is lifted by a narrow shaft of heated air. The others quickly join it there and on still wings start drifting high above the pub and Chuck E. Cheese. An ordinary miracle of physics, savored memories, and the abruptly lyrical. More proof for earthbound souls that grace can rise in any barren place. This next poem is my breakthrough poem. It's the first poem that got any real attention, someplace prestigious, and won a big award and all this kind of thing. And I thought that was all great, but I figured, okay, that will last, maybe we have to milk this 12, 18 months or something like this. And sadly, this keeps resonating with people, and I get requests to republish it and use it in different ways from time to time. And part of that, because the selfish part of it is very happy about that, but otherwise it makes me a little sad too. Moscow Zoo. We saw the mass grave at the Moscow Zoo. A sullen man dug up a human skull, then held it high for journalists to view. Forensic specialists arrived to cull remains and clues from this forgotten plot, on which the zoo still plans to cage a bear. The experts guessed these prisoners were shot for special reasons. No one was aware of comparable scenes at urban sites. No one knew if these bones belonged to spies, suspected Jews, or zealous Trotskyites. So none of us displayed the least surprise when bureaucrats emerged from quiet cars to hint this might have been the work of czars. Cancer prayer. Dear Lord, please flood her nerves with sedatives and keep her strong enough to crack a smile, so disbelieving friends and relatives can temporarily sustain denial. Please smite that intern in oncology who craves approval from department heads. Please ease her urge to vomit. Let there be kind but flirtatious men in nearby beds. Given her hair, consider amnesty for sins of vanity. Make mirrors vanish. Surround her with forgiving family and nurses not too numb to cry. Please banish trite consolations take her in one swift and gentle motion as your final gift. Laura and I have a summer home in an obscure part of Massachusetts. It's on this little tiny island that was the first attempt by the British to colonize North America. And the reason you don't know about it is it didn't go very well. And they turned around and went back 3 weeks later, and then 5 years later, most of them came to Virginia, and they all died mysteriously in Virginia. So you don't hear about Cutty-Conk Island, but we hang out there. And when John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane went down, we were, I think, the last people holding out hope for them, because they showed kind of a map of the path of the plane and where the last signal was. And the media was saying, okay, well, you know, there's nothing there. He's gone. And we knew that there was a little tiny island, even smaller than ours, there that used to be inhabited, that the government had taken over. And so we actually held out some hope for a while that he had been running out of gas and had ditched at this island, but it didn't turn out to be true. No Man's Island for John F. Kennedy Jr. A strip of violet quivers in the haze, a near mirage above the furrowed grays and blues of Vineyard Sound. An afterthought of wind-worn scrub, the military bought and then abandoned. Peace returned except for sea that pummels shoreline. Surf has swept away most tools of combat, though in dense tangles, grass and vines, old armaments remain as lattices of rusted lace. Signs tell the curious to leave this place, but squadrons of resurgent birds ignore these teetering commands of the Cold War. Gulls bomb the rocks with crabs. A few miles north, two shrouded boats are crossing back and forth, as if to mark where Camelot's last son thought he could see the sky, where there was none. That's not emotion. I have toddler crud, so I visited. Both the kids were born, by the way, in Baltimore, not very far from here, in Sinai Hospital. Okay. Fruit flies. They are the best as pest invasions go. No bites and no disease. Just clouds of small tan smudges spawned in week-old grapes. Though slow, they flit and frustrate like a knuckleball. You kill a few, but not enough. You curse as they outsmart you with their tiny brains. Bug spray could hurt you worse than them. What's worse, you know that they keep breeding in your drains. Pour some white wine into a dish and wait. They sense the sweetness, then the alcohol. They cluster on the rim and hesitate, but soon cannot resist your Riesling's call. They soak in joy, relax, then drink no more. It's no surprise, you've seen it all before. I try to avoid the political, but I'm going to do a couple brief poems. A little bit more political, so if I upset some of you, then I'll apologize now. A stern warning to Canada. If you want peace, withdraw your geese. Hot water. Trapped lobsters eat their weak and lame. Trapped politicians do the same. So I've had, one of the things I do is I get these stray projects where I write on some focus and do something usually very weird. So the Billy Collins imitations were weird. did a reconstruction from secondary sources of a lost Greek comedy, which was great fun. And so I do those kind of things. And I did my first children's book, and I did it in part because I'm a fairly recent grandfather, and I have particularly two granddaughters who are very bookish, and I don't like most of the stuff that I end up reading to them. So I kind of write what they should be hearing, the kind of thing. And so a little bit sort of perhaps of a throwback to A.A. Milne, I think, who was a poet my mom loved and used to read to me on the front lawn. So I'm just going to read the opening because I want you to know the end, and you can only know it by buying the book. And I just mentioned the holidays are coming. You all have young people in your lives who deserve something, and maybe you're out of ideas, and so, maybe buy 4 or 6,
What's the age range?
Age range. So the authorities put this at ages 2 to 6, and I think that's actually a little bit low. I think this is sort of a 4 to 8 book, I think, maybe 4 to 7. What do you think?
Depends on whether they want to color it.
Well, yeah, so this is one of the things that surprised us. So the artwork on the cover is just beautiful. Grant did a great job. What surprised me a little bit in the beginning, and it's beautiful, but it's different, is they're pen and ink drawings. And what we didn't anticipate, and when I say we, Paul Dry of Paul Dry Books, who's the publisher of this the book, that children would see this as basically the outline for something that needed color. And so it's actually been a great thing. About a dozen people have told me that they had to buy a second copy because their children, filled it in, and they kind of felt like they wanted to have a clean copy. So it's a novel marketing strategy.
Is it working?
Yeah, I guess. It's not. It's not on anybody's bestseller list, but.
So did Catherine Pugh.
Pardon?
So did Catherine Pugh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
She did the same thing.
So I'm gonna read
He's
the.
asking you to commit fraud.
Oh, commit fraud. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll talk. So let me just do the beginning, and then, as I said, if you want to find out how it ends, of course you'll want to find out how it ends. Then you're going to have to go buy the book. So. Girlity. There was a seaside family, a manatee, a mummity, and Grace, the little girlity. They ate all day in their blue bay, but when they saw a speedboat spray, the parents knew to stay away and dive to eelgrass thick and high, alive with fish and octopi and cranky crabs that scuttle by. Their quiet didn't always last, since humans want to have a blast and make their speedboats go too fast. One day their greatest fear was here. A high-speed boat began to veer, and quickly it was growing near. The parents knew what was in store and drifted to the ocean floor. Sadly, their daughter swam to shore. No girlity can understand the dangers of a life on land, but there she was upon the sand. Now you gotta go Oh yeah, almost done. Am I not too far over, right? Oh, okay. All right. This won't be too long, and hopefully not too painful. So this is the only translation I'm going to read. I decided to forget most of them. This is a favorite. This is the one that got me in the poetry magazine, so that excited about that. And it's from I worked on this off and on over 20 years. I found a book in the Harvard Library that the last time I checked it out 5 years ago, it was in the old school thing, where they had, it was print, so you knew like when it had been taken out.
Yeah.
The last time, none of this electronic stuff. So I'm still the only person apparently who's ever taken this book out. And I've taken it out about a half a dozen times. And it's a collection of over 4,000 proverbs from an East African tribe called the Oromo. And it's changed a lot since when I first worked on it, they didn't even have a written language. So this was all transcribed by anthropologists, and I noticed that there was a lot of rhyme, and when you kind of work through the phonetic versions, a fair amount of rhythm to it. And so I got interested in working on these. They've more than doubled since I first did. There are now 60 million of them rather than 30 million. They have a written language, and apparently they're getting difficult politically in East Africa, and they want their own homeland and all that kind of stuff. But I think I am still America's only Oromo translator. So here we go. East African proverbs. Let the relentless fist be kissed. The salt cannot be cooked. The past is overlooked. Full once they nibble, fleas quibble. Teeth in a hyena's face always slide into place. No donkey can cart what weighs down your heart. Outside, a man is respected. At home, that man is neglected. The strangers weep and leave. Family members grieve. Even half-blind men hope to see again. True words end, lies extend. And that inspired me a little bit to, and this is the close, so you can have something to look forward to. Encouraged me to try my hand at this, which is called Proposed Cliches. Softer than an old potato, too moldy to mash. More user-friendly than a hooker hard up for cash. Love is like a hard time sentence, but better than cancer. Ask not what your country can do, for fear of the answer. Beauty beheld is merely skin deep. Infections are deeper. The price of honesty is steep. Candidates are cheaper. A drowning man may clutch at straws, but his sipping is pathetic. Burn the candle at both ends if you want to wax poetic. You can call off your dogs, but your cats will ignore you. If actuaries had wings, they still would just bore you. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, but not your disease. Blood is thicker than water, except when they freeze. It's just spilled milk under the bridge, so don't be big babies. If you're crazy like a fox, get tested for rabies.
Thank you, Mike.